profitable trader mindset for month end. So a couple of secrets of month end. T+1 settlement, if you Google that, it applies to how most routine security transactions on month end, that would be banks, institutions like Card, Fidelity, and hedge funds. Month end's going to be 1 day, T plus 1 day. So month end is today for November, because Friday's not a full day. It's a half day. Last full day is today, Wednesday, because of the Thursday holiday. 11/27/24. That's it. That is month end for the bigs. Number 2, do not expect the normal algorithm to be in charge because of the month end manual intervention. These banks, institutions, and hedge funds are going to square the books to do the last trade of the month for their portfolios. It's super important to get this last opportunity to do that. So totally manual intervention. So 3 things about month end to know is set expectations low because of that manual intervention. Identify if high resistance or low resistance liquidity conditions exist. So my model's going to work with low resistance liquidity, not high resistance. And typically you're going to see high resistance. So that's number 2. And if in doubt, do not trade. It's because this month's end for November 2024 is a holiday week. So you've got a double barrel reason not to get involved. So that's it. Those are the major things through experience, through other veterans, sharing their stories over the last 20 years, and me borrowing their experience and then proving it for myself. These are the 3 conclusions I come up to my own trading for this month end. So here we are with the weekly chart. The time is 9:15, so less than 15 minutes before New York opens on the regular trading hour session. And this is the weekly. And here's the bar right here we're looking at on the weekly candle. I've got a blue 3 EMA below it. We've got the middle Bollinger Band at 5827.50. That looks like a mile down, doesn't it? And the upper Bollinger Band on the red is 6182.27. Again, this is the March contract here on S&P 500 Micro Futures. And what do you notice here is what the higher time frame showing on price action is relative equal highs. The bodies of the candles, look at this, 1, 2, and 3. So that's very important because buy-side liquidity definitely could be new all-time highs. I'm not predicting a new high. I'm just saying if we've got relative equal highs, there's a strong likelihood we're going to get above it. I can't say it's today or half-day Friday or early next week, but I'm just saying the bull is not done by the looks of this higher time frame chart. Okay, it's 9:19, and what I'm doing is I'm looking at the general health of the market. Apple for the month of November, look at this, getting back into the highs of where we were. This goes back to last October. NVIDIA still on that down leg the last few days. Tesla holding right here, just holding, flatlining. And Google, after that class action possible lawsuit from the government here, is clawing its way back up. Microsoft holding from the lows, looking poised to go higher. Oil is down. Gold is off its highs, and the dollar is coming off its highs. So that gives me a little bit of a read on the S&P 500 general market conditions before the New York Open. The next chart I rotate into is a Renko chart, and it's not something I trade off, but I want to know the sentiment of, are we getting near a blue line on upper or lower? Upper blue line is 6125 up here. Middle red line is where we are currently with price about to open on New York, and the red line is coming in at 6,100 on this March futures S&P. And then lower down here is well below 6,084. So that just gives me an idea. If I was going to look at anything involvement, ideally, I'd like to be on a blue line special here. So that takes care of that chart. Okay, it's almost 9:28, 2 minutes before the open, and here's the 1 hour. It's a higher time frame. And why I like to look at this chart is because I want to look at the bodies and see respect or disrespect on certain price action zones and candle bodies. So right here, you can see we've got some order blocks in black going down to this purple. What is the purple? That is a new week open gap from 1111. 1111 is a big deal on is price going to stay below it or just tag it and go right back up. And you can see we had a wick down here coming off of London, and we wicked down to it. And where did it wick down to? The consequent encroachment, the middle of this purple line. So that is coming in at 6091 and some change. So no bodies of candles have violated. This little light blue, sky blue rectangle is the open range gap. So if we got a narrow, basically from the black dotted line to where price is right now, it's a very narrow open range gap. So that's another thing I look at. New York midnight open, 6104. London open right below it, around 6102. And then this PM gray box rectangle, 1126 PM open range. That's the prior day PM open range. Very important. What is price doing? It's staying for hours in this box. Bodies of candles in this box. So that's telling me something right there. This is high resistance. This is a hallmark of what high resistance looks like. I have low expectations now. I do not want to really get involved. I'll tape read. You saw how I cycled through the charts. We'll watch the open here, and we'll switch to a lower time frame and see what this looks like. And we're down to a 1 minute here. So here we are. We just opened. It's 9:30. It looks to me like the open is 6099.75 on this contract. You can barely see it here, but I'm tagging right where this little small doji candle is, 6099.75. A little bit of a coincidence here, just under 6100. So right away, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust this blue rectangle box on the open range gap to where that one is. So there we go. So 50% of that is 6104. And you can see here we've got a open with a down candle. So now that I've got that, I'm going to measure my first present 1 minute fair value gap. That's one of the first things I do. So again, this is a 1 minute chart. I've got that whole other thing that showed all the higher time frame charts. You know I have low expectations. I'm not going to put risk on today for sure because of the month-end games that are going to be played by the institutions. And it's a holiday week. Thanksgiving is hours away. Really, I don't expect a whole lot. And then, of course, there's this gray box. And where are we right now? We're in the gray box, even on the 1 minute. So I'm just watching the price here. Price action here is 931. Never put on a trade for me usually in the first 15 minutes unless we're unusually in a huge open range gap. So just to recap here, price action reading takes into consequence what these different levels are. Way up here at the top, I've got Asia high at 6113.5. I've got the PM high from prior day at 611. What's above that is the all-time high of 6118.75. That's definitely doable today if price wants to do it at the end of the day. There's a lot of news catalysts coming out for sure, and I think people are going to look at that. And then let's just see between now and 10 what price does. So I'll come back there one last chart and we'll wrap it after 10 and see what this is done. Okay, here we have the AM chart after 10 a.m. The time is 10:09. I've seen enough to know total hands off because I don't trade the afternoons. I realize there's another news events with the FOMC minutes, but That's not how I trade on my trading model. My time is London and or AM New York session. And first thing is I'm looking at this purple first present fair value gap on the 1 minute. So I've overlaid a 1 minute rectangle in purple on a 5-minute chart, and you can see the top is 609950 and the lower is 6096.50. And what have candlesticks done? 5 minute, they just basically decide to put up a tent and bitch in there. That is high resistance. You do not, at least I do not want to be trading in a high resistance environment. It's all about low resistance liquidity conditions. So it's not done what I needed it to do to be involved. So no FOMO here. I am not in this. Note how the new weekly gap we pointed out on the 1111, it's not even on back on the London lows yet. If it did that, below that is that first present fair value gap on the day prior for Tuesday. So just not happening. Month end, holiday, FOMC minutes in the afternoon, super high resistance liquidity conditions on a month end day holiday. So strike 1, 2, 3, you're out, no trading. And again, it's key knowing how to read price action and knowing your model, because you operate your trade model on time first. So if it's showing up on time, your setup, your model, then great. And then look at your price action read. But time, I always prioritize above the model. Those are the 1 and 2s of a potential trade setup. So I hope that helps. Aloha and take care. And for those in the U.S., happy holidays on the Thanksgiving. Bye.